All right, apologize for being late. Got a meeting downstairs, but why don't we stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Secretary Matias, could you call the roll?
Okay, roll call. Mr. Ross.
Yes.
Ms. Slade.
Present.
Dr. Felb.
Present.
Dr. Flores.
Present.
Mr. LeGrand.
Yes.
Matias, yes. Pastor Moody.
Present.
Dr. Randalls.
Not here.
President Baker.
Here. All right, can get a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Support.
All right, everybody in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, celebrations.
Thank you, Dr. Baker and members of the board. I would ask for Dr. Ron Gorman to come forward, please.
Good old Dr.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Superintendent Weatherall Neal, Dr. Baker, distinguished members of the board. I'm here this evening to report on the progress of the Grand Rapids Public Schools debate teams. As you know, for the past few years, we've had a really strong debate team at City, and what we'd like to do is have many stronger debate teams or teams that are just as strong as City throughout all of our high schools. So tonight, I'm here to report on the progress that the high schools are making in regards to debate. You may know that the Grand Rapids Public Schools has a long history of having some successful debate teams. As a matter of fact, the class of '93, John Helmholt, was on the Union High team that was top 10 in the state.
Really, John? He debated
Right here, yes.
I can't imagine that. He was such a quiet guy.
Such a quiet guy. I know. But when you tour our buildings, you'll notice there are a lot of Detroit Free Press plaques on the wall that recognize all of the wonderful debate teams in the Grand Rapids Public Schools. So this year, it was the first time in many years that we've had debate classes at Ottawa Hills and Union High School, but there wasn't really a whole lot of room in Innovation Central's schedule to have a debate class because they have so many required electives. But Mr. Frost and the very talented team from Innovation Central put together a debate team and even hosted a debate tournament. So I'm going to pass it off to Mr. Frost, Building Principal at Innovation Central High, and he's going to tell you about the wonderful things they're doing with debate at Innovation Central. Mr. Frost.
Thank you, Dr. Gorman. Superintendent Weatherall Neal, President Baker, members of the board, thank you very much for having the Innovation Central debate team here for tonight's celebration. As Dr. Gorman said, we have indeed brought back debate to our building, and it has already become a great part of our school in 1 year. We're all very proud not only to have a debate team, but to have hosted the 5 weeks of the debate league competitions in our historic building. We are looking forward to hosting the debate league again next year and also building our team numbers as well. This year we hosted the following schools: Wayland High School, East Kentwood, Kennewa Hills, Forest Hill Central, Mona Shores, Rockford, Grand Rapids Catholic Central, Northview, West Ottawa, and our own City High. We had many successes in these 5 weeks, and it was all due to our great group of committed students and due to the leadership of 2 dedicated teachers. I would like to introduce these teachers who will talk and who will detail our successes, and will also introduce our students who will talk about their experiences. Superintendent Weatherall Neal, President Baker, members of the board, may I introduce to you Innovation Central English teachers and debate coaches, Mrs. Leanne McCready and Mrs. Jerry Ann Schuler.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. We appreciate it. My name is Jerry Ann Schuler, and I am one of the debate coaches and an English teacher at Innovation Central. We were very excited to be able to get a training for debate this past summer. We were trained by Ellen Zwarenstein, who is the coach at Kentwood High School. And she trained Leanne and I for 4 days this summer. And we took that training back to Innovation Central and found some students who were very interested in debate. We did not get a class for it, as Mr. Frost said, and so these students every Wednesday came after school, and we worked very hard on debate. I'd like to introduce them right now, and then we can talk a little bit. Next to me is Nicole Mansfield, who placed 4th in the Metro League. Third in the Metro League. Ashley Martinez, Zaria Carson, and Lisette Wan. We worked really hard, and the students worked really hard, and we were able to watch their confidence build. And in the words of one student, she described another student, and she said, "The student was a caterpillar when we started. Today, she's a butterfly." And I just want you to think about that, because that's what happened. So,
Very nice.
and Nicole's going to talk.
I'm sorry, who was the student that said that?
Well, it was Ashley Martinez who said it about Lisette Wan, and I had Lisette when she was a freshman, and I think that year she probably said 20 words. And now she is a great debater, which is
Very good.
Thank you.
I think I got to get close to my face. Hi,
Hi.
I'm Nicole, like she said. And 3rd is a really big place from 4th, let me just tell you. Is this on?
It was debate, right? It was debate that she got
When we
that third
first
place
started
for that.
debate, it was we didn't know what we were doing. I'm just going to say it. Like, we got our resolution like 2 weeks before we were supposed to start debating, while other kids got it in the spring. And so here we are, like, we only had like four teams, and amongst other people who had like 6 teams, and we were like, what are we doing? Like, but these teachers, they never gave up, and we were like so dedicated to get the wins and to like basically win the arguments that we were given. And although we didn't know what we were doing, in those 5 weeks we progressed on and we got wins. And even when we lost, we were just like, we were a step further than what we were when we started. Like, we didn't lose for the same reasons. Like, for instance, my first time debating, and I'm a good arguer. I can tell you that. Like, I can argue about anything. But debate was so debate.
She got the speaker points.
Debate was something so different. So when it was my first time debating, I was like, this is nothing. I was never in this ballpark before. And then the teacher was like, you guys just got to keep going. You just got to keep doing it. And then Mr. Frost was like, every win we got, he was like on the announcements, like, we like won this debate. And so having all of those announcements and having that celebration for like the little wins that we did have kind of helped us like realize that the little things that we were doing meant so much to our school. And every time we had something, Mr. Frost would like bring out like a yearbook. He'd be like, this is Betty Ford. She went here. And I was like, oh. Like, he loves Central, and these teachers love Central, and they love the students, and you can see it through debate, especially like how we stayed late for practice and we stayed late for debate. So it was an eye-opener. I loved it, and it was just, I don't know, it changed my life, really.
Big goal. Awesome. Very good.
The research about policy debate does indicate that it literally and scientifically changes the brains and the behaviors of students, and it's just really exciting to be part of that. We've all learned so much this year.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Thank you for the experience.
Thank you.
Can we have you all come up and shake your hands?
Yeah. I wanted to say something. This is one of the best principals. Yeah. Oh, well. Tony, I wanted to say something. I wanted to say something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Come on up here. Come on up here. We need to shake your hand. Hey, keep on. Very good, very good. Congratulations. Thank you so much for your work. Thank you. Very good. So much.
Latina.
Awesome. Thank you. Very good. Very nice. Thank you. Very nice. Good work. One of my favorite principals.
Dr. Faub, you wanted to make a comment?
They're leaving. It's all right.
Okay. All right. Student Representative Abigail.
Hi. So I first just want to comment briefly on that. I do debate as well, and I absolutely love debate, and it makes me so happy just to see all of that because that's something I'm super passionate about. Then I also want to update you guys on the proposal that some GRPS students have put forward. It's about just kind of reforming detention policies and making them more community service oriented, and that's now in the hands of Superintendent Neal, and I'm really excited to see what she does with it. And then another thing I'd like to...
No pressure.
No, I'm excited.
Right, you see that?
I don't know. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was that we've got the 30th annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Inheritance Scholarship, and we've had 4 students from GRPS that have won something from that, and 3 have won $1,000 scholarships. There was a student from Grand Rapids University Prep, a student from Union, and a student from Ottawa who got that $1,000 scholarship. And then there was also a student who received a full ride to Davenport, which I think is really cool. And then we also have about 4 or 5 students from City High School who have received full scholarships to U of M. So that's just the update on college for us seniors. So yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. That's great news. Public comment, board agenda items. Any
I have
cards?
no cards here.
All right. Secretary's report.
All right. Well, we have 3 items. One is that the theme schools and Centers of Innovation application deadline is February 29th. Please go to apply.grps.org or stop by any of the schools to fill out applications. Another is Kindergarten Here We Come, or Here I Come. Kindergarten Here I Come is scheduled for February 24th from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Grand Rapids Public Museum. This is an open house event. Give families opportunities to learn more about programming for kindergarten and options. Student must be 5 by September 1st to attend kindergarten. And also the Cesar E. Chavez Social Justice March is scheduled for March 17th, so mark your calendars, March 17th. It's going to be at Granville. This is open to the public and will begin at 11 o'clock. The staggering location will be at Potter's House High School, Potter's House School at the corner of Granville and Clyde Park Avenue. So please mark your calendars.
That's it. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Baker and members of the board, I would ask John Hemholt to come forward, please. The great debater.
Thanks for that embarrassment there, Ron.
Probably just relentless, not necessarily.
You forgot the second place speaker award for the City League. I mean,
Who got first?
Judd Menkveld from Grand Rapids Christian, who was my roommate at Michigan State, actually. Superintendent Weatherall Neal, President Baker, members of the board. Superintendent asked me to give an update. I know we've emailed it to you, but we want to vocalize it here. We had pretty good news last week. Our spring count day is emerging as potentially the best count day we've had in 2 decades. You know, there's still a 30-day window count here, and there's some X factors, so these numbers are subject to change. But you might recall your budget was built on about a 14 student loss, which again would be the single best count day in 20 years. And right now, you might also recall when we did the fall count, we thought we were about 50 off that projection, and then it actually adjusted upward a little bit to as much as 100 off of where we thought. Well, it appears that we've gained all of that back. And what's impressive is that you'll see the particular increase and you'll get more details later, but our cultural centers and all of our middle schools, every single one of our middle schools added students. And that's an area where we've typically lost students in years past. So all in all, it was a really good count day, and I think, there's just been a lot of effort put forth by the board, the administration, all of our teachers and support staff to really put a focus in on how do we retain and attract students, and it continues to show success.
So can I have a question, John? So is there anything that we're doing different to get students to come back?
That's a good question.
There's a new admissions specialist that's under Mel Atkins' department. We continue to build on the team, the grassroots team that Kyle Prey and individuals are working with us. Christina Johnson, who's a member of your congregation there, is one of the paid workers. I think the bond campaign had there was just a lot of positive message that was out there. You all authorized some additional investment in the marketing, so we had network television, we had cable television, so it's a grassroots, kind of a ground game and an air campaign. And then we're getting tighter with how we gather the data. You know, we were using parent-teacher conferences to gather data, and we're really tightening it up. So now, you know, the principals, the teachers have gone through it now a couple of years in a row, so we get stronger and better at what we're doing every year. And now we have a team with the admissions specialist, with Kyle Prey, myself, Kelly, where we're meeting one-on-one with principals and their teams to further customize their individual retention recruitment. So I think, you know, again, we're on pace to hopefully do as good, if not better, with our implementation of that initiative.
If I can just comment as well, I think I've seen more communication, grassroots level, like you're saying, among organizations in the community, as far as like community agencies doing things, opening up the house in terms of open houses for smaller folks to talk about enrollment, particularly that kindergarten. So it's been interesting to see that kind of conversation, folks talking back and forth about their experiences. So that's been very exciting.
All right, thank you. Anything else? All right, move on to our action items. Can I get a motion for our purchases?
So moved. Support.
Any discussion?
Purchase. There's only one.
Purchase, yeah. Call the roll for the purchase.
Okay. Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Slade?
Yes.
Dr. Feld?
Yes.
Dr. Flores?
Yes.
Mr. LeGrand?
Yes.
Matthias, yes. Pastor Moody?
Yes.
Dr. Randalls is not here. President Baker?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Next, motion for resolution to join the Michigan Liquid Asset Fund Plus. A motion for that?
Motion to support resolution to join the Michigan Liquid Asset.
Second.
Support.
Any discussion? Actually, Superintendent, could you give us a brief?
I will. Larry O will come up.
Good evening. As we look to get our first tranche of bonds issued over the next 30 days or so, and as you're aware, when the money comes into the district, we are required to invest those funds until we need them. And so in the process of looking at options, I talked to a financial management organization that will help us with that. And this is one of the investment options that they use. The Michigan Liquid Asset Fund was actually started by school districts. It's a number of school districts are in it now, 580 actually. They handle 40 bond issues currently for Michigan school districts, governed by Michigan school districts. Rockford, as an example, is one of the local districts, as is Caledonia. So the beauty of this is that they can structure the investments to match our draw schedules. And so we're getting the maximum return on those invested assets until we need them. The other option that comes in connection with joining this asset fund is that in the course of issuing tax-exempt bonds like we are, there's this federal regulation, pretty complicated, called arbitrage. Inasmuch it doesn't look like it'll impact us because the interest rates are still required to do calculations. And they will also perform that for us, a very, very complicated and complex computation. So just another option I'm looking at, frankly, for our bonds, but we can also invest any excess cash in this Michigan Liquid Asset Fund. A significant amount of dollars under investment currently, as I said, 580 school districts, and it's governed by school district officials. So low risk. They invest only in statutorily allowed investment vehicles, and so it's all compliant with state laws too. So just another option for us.
Anyone have any questions about this? No questions? Roll.
Okay, Mr. Ross.
Yes.
Ms. Slade?
Yes.
Dr. Phelps?
Yes.
Dr. Flores?
Yes.
Mr. LeGrand?
Yes.
Tias, yes. Pastor Moody?
Yes.
President Baker?
Yes. All right, next, we have a series of policies that we will,
Dr. Baker, members of the board, I'd like to ask Sharon Pitts to come forward.
Good evening, Superintendent Weatherall Neal, President Baker, board members. Tonight, I am recommending that you all consider for first reading a revision to all of our anti-discrimination policies to include sexual orientation, gender identity, appearance and behavior. And really the impetus for this is that the EEOC on the employee level and the Office for Civil Rights in implementing Title IX has indicated that in their rulings, and of course some court rulings too, that discrimination on those bases is unlawful. And we want to show that we are welcoming to all of our students. That's your mission. And we want to make sure that there's clear guidance for the staff and that the public understands that we don't discriminate against students for any reason. So I have looked at all of our anti-discrimination policies and have recommended that we add that. I also have, and I don't know whether you're taking these under consideration, I also have a service animal policy.
I saw that.
And that is consistent with the law. And we had a resident who had a service animal, and because I think, not because of any malice or animus, it's just that our staff was unaware of what the current state of the law is. And so one of the things that we resolved it with the Office for Civil Rights is that we would have a policy. I have put over, and this started in 2014 in our last several HR newsletters that I sent out to the staff. I had informed folks in case someone came in with a service animal, but it's always important that the board set the policy and that we can use that as guidance for training, and so that the public knows that if they do need a service animal, a student or a parent, that we will do the appropriate accommodations.
Mr. LeGrand.
Yeah, a couple of things. I'm sure that you're aware of the distinction between a service animal and an emotional support animal. I think it's probably worth mentioning, since this is public, that emotional support animals essentially have no status, and they're not regulated, and so someone can claim that they really need to have a zebra with them, but if they're doing it for emotional support, it's not the same thing as a service animal. Quite a different kettle of fish, so to speak. The second point was simply that I think you need to go back and fly spec the language a little bit, right? Because autocorrect's not going to catch, but there's a couple places where you generally say animal in the language, and then a couple places it lapses back to dog. So you should just make sure it says animal consistently, not dog.
Well, and maybe I should flip it, because dog is the only service animal other than a miniature horse that is allowed.
Right.
So, thank you. I will
Yeah,
go
there's a little bit of language inconsistency in there.
That
Not a
means
big.
a zebra is not allowed under any circumstances?
No, a zebra is not allowed under any circumstances.
I was surprised it's a miniature horse.
Miniature zebra?
Not a miniature zebra either. We haven't had the miniature horse
I
issue
know, I
yet,
haven't
but-
seen one.
Okay, we have some other, Pastor Moody.
Ms. Pitts, I have a concern with with two words in Section 500 personnel, and that's the word intimidation and ridicule. You said it's a discriminatory harassment of employees. where does intimidation fit in at? Because I can be intimidated by you without you even saying anything to me.
Well, obviously, there's a matter of proof that an employee would have to indicate. I mean, that was currently in the policies, and I did not change that. But we want to try to create a hostile-free environment. And I think all of those are factors in considering that. And obviously, there would have to be some objectivity to there, some objective incident that we could point to in the environment.
So these got to be ongoing behaviors, though, right?
It depends on the severity of the incident. So there could be, depending on the severity of it, it could be a one-time incident, but generally, it is an ongoing, non-addressed incident. So obviously, in the sexual harassment area, if it was a sexual assault, you wouldn't need to have that ongoing. But if it's bullying, even under our bullying policy, when you see that it's not just an isolated event, it's events that have not been addressed once we know of them, or we create an environment where we know we have a zero tolerance for that, and we do training, et cetera. Does that answer your question, Pastor Murray? A little bit?
A little bit. I just had some concerns with those two words, ridicule and intimidation. You know, once again, you can be intimidated by somebody without them saying anything to you.
But is this?
But if it's an ongoing thing, if I'm intimidating him constantly, every day, I mean, I can see him complaining and saying something's wrong, but if he just looks at me and feels intimidated by me because I might look rough or look mean, I don't think that's harassment.
Well, if he brought that forward, we would investigate it, and we would make a determination as to whether or not we thought it was actionable harassment. But perhaps then, even if we don't, perhaps there's mediation or some other informal facilitation that would help remedy that. So it doesn't always have to rise to the level of something actionable, but we do try to address whenever individuals, there's tension or friction, we try to address it on a lot of different levels. So, there may be something underneath that, and so a lot of times we'll try to dig deeper, figure out what is really going on, and see if we can address it so that the students are free in the environment to learn and not be distracted by that.
Yeah, I'm just kind of concerned because sometimes the student can be the aggressor,
That's very true, too. But, we do look at every complaint that comes in, and we investigate them all, and we try to figure out what's going on with it, because the danger is when we don't investigate them.
Dr. Fall, did you have a comment?
Well, I just had a procedural question. Are we able to accept a first reading of them in mass, or do we have to go through each policy for a first reading? Do you know? Can we just say accept full policy and then list them for one motion?
I think you could.
Okay.
I don't think that would be a problem, unless someone doesn't want to vote against it.
Right, exactly, okay.
We were looking at grouped, but
Make a motion to group these first reading of these.
Okay, and then the support. Support. Is there any other discussion of the policy?
I would just like to express my appreciation for taking the leadership on including this and doing the work on it. Really appreciate it.
So I actually have one more question too. So basically though, it appears that the only thing that's changed is other than, the service animal policy, but in terms of the discrimination policies, is the addition of
those words.
Okay,
right.
so.
And the pregnancy piece too.
Okay, and the issue of intimidation, et cetera, has been the policy.
Yes.
Okay.
That has been existing in the policy.
Okay.
And I did, as I noted, added pregnancy. That came out of a Dear Colleague letter about 1.5 years ago, and since we were cleaning up the language, I wanted to make sure that was in there.
Okay. Any other, and this is a first reading, so we will then vote on a second reading.
Yes, and I'll clean up
at the
that
next meeting.
Inconsistency in that language.
Great. Okay, any other, take the roll?
okay, so who motioned?
Reinhardt.
Okay.
Mo, did you have a comment or a question?
My only comment was miniature horses. I didn't realize that they were. but I'd like to see one.
You need
If
to watch
anybody
more.
has one, let me know and I'll come out.
I know someone who has one. I can
I'd like
arrange
to-
that.
I'd like to do that.
Watch Parks and Recreation.
Okay, Mr. Ross.
Yes.
Ms. Slade?
Yes.
Dr. Faub?
Yes.
Dr. Flores?
Yes.
Mr. LeGrand?
Yes.
Matias, yes. Pastor Moody?
Yes.
President Baker?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Next is the consent agenda grouping. Can I get a motion?
Move to approve the consent agenda?
Support.
So next time you tell me, get my skin.
All right.
Dr. Baker?
Yeah.
Could I make a correction on February 1st's minutes? Is that appropriate?
Well, you want to just pull that item? We can vote on everything else and then go back to the February 1st?
That'd be fine.
Okay. All right, so I need someone to amend their motion.
Amend my motion to approve the consent agenda minus the February 1 minutes.
Need another support?
Okay, so,
Okay. Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Slade?
Yes.
Dr. Faub?
Yes.
Dr. Flores?
Yes.
Mr. LeGrand?
Yes.
Matias, yes. Pastor Moody?
Yes.
President Baker?
yes.
Okay.
Okay, now we need a motion for the approval of minutes. Prior
So
to
moved?
discussion.
Support.
Okay, Dr. Flores, do you have a?
Yeah, it's a minor correction, however, it's important in the context, and that is that in the comments section on page 56, where Dr. Flores expressed appreciation for the post on Facebook, what I did was I expressed appreciation to you, Dr. Baker, for having placed that, the findings of a Stanford study as it relates to the use of ethnic heritage in a curriculum and how that improved academic achievement among minority students, which I think is very important and certainly a credit to you in expressing your philosophy using the current social media networks available to you.
Okay, so.
So a minor correction, just Dr. Flores expressed appreciation for Dr. Baker's post on Facebook regarding the results of the Stanford study as it relates to ethnic heritage and contributions to America.
Okay.
Sounds like that can appropriately be cleaned up. So I'd move we accept the minutes subject to that correction, which I think was pretty articulately stated there.
And then just add that edit.
I have to amend, I made the motion initially to accept the minutes, so don't I need to amend it?
Yeah,
There's a
probably.
motion on the table right now.
Right, yeah, you're right, I forgot.
Can you amend that? As amended?
I'm amending my motion to accept, given that the language would be cleaned up. Say Dr. Flores expressed appreciation for Dr. Baker's post on Facebook.
Support.
Okay. Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Slade?
Yes.
Dr. Faub?
Yes.
Dr. Flores?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. LeGrand?
Yes.
Matias, yes. Pastor Moody?
Yes.
President Baker?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, we have no discussion items. Public comment of any items. Parts? Okay, superintendent comments.
No comment, Dr. Baker.
Board member, I think this time I'm going to start from the right, Dr. Flores, and move to the left, so. Do you have any comments?
No comment.
Mr. LeGrand?
Yeah, I'm really excited by the movement on the debate stuff. And I actually graduated from high school in Canada, but where there's a much stronger tradition of debate. I think that this is a great way for our students to actually flex their intellectual muscles. I can't stress enough how much I think this is important. I mean, if you look at this board, for example, if this board is a bunch of community leaders, none of us are up here because of how well we can dribble a basketball or how well we can throw a football. You know, everybody up here speaks for a living, basically. And I think it's an incredibly important exercise to be able to just go at arguments over and over again and deconstruct them and push back, and all of that intellectual exercise is really critical, and it dovetails completely with everything we want our kids to do. We want our kids to be independent, critical thinkers, and I can't think of a single better way to have that happen. Frankly, if you look at how debate programs, when they're really fleshed out, they start all the way in middle school. And I would love to see someday, real funding and resources for this. Again, the high school team that I was on and the junior high team that I was on, there was money for travel. There was money for going to debate conferences, and oddly, and if we ever want to have an expert down here, oddly enough, the worst debater on my high school team turned out to be massively better at coaching than the rest of us, has taken a couple teams to world championships, and every year basically wins the Canadian National Debating Championships, and just keeps taking a different group of students again and again and again and winning nationals. So I think consistency in our coaching and good training for our coaching really will pay dividends for the kids. And so I'm excited, and frankly, I want to give a shout out to our ex-board member, Henry Atkins, for his initiative on this. I think it was a year ago, 2 years ago. He came up with a brilliant, pithy little one-page memo for all of us, arguing that we ought to do this, and it ought to be something that happens further than just city high. And so I'm excited to see this drill down. And frankly, you don't need to teach probably, well, seeing it drill down is wonderful, let's put it that way. I mean, I think the comments from these kids tonight were incredibly powerful. And to see kids who are shy find their feet and find their power and find their voice, I would rather have that than have a valedictorian polish up their argument skills any day of the week. Our education, if it's about anything, is about equal access and about empowering everybody. And I can't think of a better way to do that, and I'm sorry I took so long with my comment.
Time's up on the debate.
It was debating. I want to give a shout out to our student rep who reported on the students around our district here who have made tremendous progress. I think it's very important when our student rep can come and tell us what our kids are doing in the school. And those individuals who are probably watching us on the screen can hear that there are some progress that's being made, and we don't get enough of that. So I want to give her kudos for that. And as Dave said, I want to also give kudos to the debate team at Central Innovation. There's some good things happening in our district constantly every day, and we need to make sure that information is going forth constantly.
No comment.
Yeah, I agree. I hope that that we can make it part of our scheduling in our schools, as opposed to it being just an extra. We're really looking at some of the things that we do that maybe get in the way of that, in terms of making it either a class or something that really, truly our students can participate in. So it was exciting to see two Latinas también. That was powerful, so thanks.
I want to talk about the debate, too. It comes as such a shock that Mr. LeGrand was a debater. I know we're all flabbergasted that could be possible. And it may come as a shock that I was a serious debater, too. But I can't, it really did impact my life significantly, I think, to debate. It's influenced my ability to public speak and to be a good thinker. And it was just so great. It was great to hear the students hear that, but what I especially liked about it is their willingness to fail. And I think that is also such a great gift, is like, we're just going to keep at it. We're going to be there, and it doesn't matter whether we're going to win right now, but we're going to stay at it, and appreciate Mr. Frost's champion of them and helping them to stay at it. It's very, very exciting. So, and I see Michelle Zakowski out here. I was at the wonderful press conference where Teresa spoke, and want to thank the Student Advancement Foundation and supporters in our community for funding the children in Grand Rapids Public Schools to participate in athletics without having to pay. So it was very exciting.
No comment. It's been said.
Well, I think our board could probably, the best board debate team in the state. So definitely and I think that the people that know us well are frightened. I would also, I think that especially there's like debate, there's forensics, there's robotics, there's entrepreneurship competitions, et cetera. And I think that for all of those, you hear of schools that have an entire course throughout a year. And if we have students who are achieving, they're working very hard. It's likely that their families are working hard. It's absolutely for sure that teachers and other staff are working hard and giving extras. So I think it's absolutely, and everyone that I've met in those kinds of arenas that are less popularly aware of do that. And it's been pretty impressive when I met those people. So thank you. And actually, Pastor Moody, would you like to add?
Yeah, we really need to give our superintendent kudos for receiving the Giant of Giants.
Yeah.
Award.
Oh, yeah, there's that.
Good catch.
Oh, man.
Glad we
Cool,
didn't do that.
Nate, thank you.
Good catch. It was nice sitting next to her. And
Well deserved, well deserved.
Deserved indeed.
all right, with that, we're adjourned.